Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Fire Emblem podcast with your two favorite guys, Blaze and Shu.
Hi, what's going on? I guess, whatever.
So, are we going to say that thing that we usually say at the beginning of podcasts?
Um, it's been a long time since our last episode, but I promise. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna make any promises anymore. I think that if the less I promise, the more consistent we'll be. Maybe we should try that out.
Maybe. How's Fates going, Shu?
It's going all right. I'm a busy guy, okay, so I haven't been able to play it that much.
I'm
Not
still,
gonna lie.
I just got past the route split. I chose
Full disclosure.
Conquest because.
Yeah, don't worry, man. I mean, I'm so OG. I bet I've played more Fire Emblem than anybody listening to this podcast anyway. So I'm
Oh.
still incredibly qualified. And yeah, I'm definitely challenging each and every one of you schmoes that are listening to this. I mean, loyal listeners.
Right.
I
And
said,
don't just call up your Fire Emblem friend who has no life and played FE11 12 times because it's in his mind the best Fire Emblem game.
who?
Against
Wait, you? That's not you.
No, it's not me. No,
I was
dude.
gonna say, I'm like, what the
No,
fuck?
no, dude. I played FE11 like once, and that was
No,
just
because
insane.
no, I don't know anybody that thinks Fire Emblem 11 is the best Fire Emblem game.
But see, if you're like super into the strategy gameplay, then maybe you would be. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, FE11, yeah, the map design, like, it was so, like, the gameplay was, like, really simple, but, executed very well, and, I don't know, I'm just making this up as I go along, but, say, I've heard people say FE11's story is great, and then they actually made, like, I wouldn't say it was a great argument, but it was a somewhat convincing argument. I still think the story sucks, but that's neither here or there.
No.
So what's our topic for today's show? What would you...
We're gonna be talking about the newly announced, unnamed mobile Fire Emblem game.
iMobile? Yeah.
I know. I said I, and then I tried to say mobile, and it sounded like I said iMobile, which isn't a real thing. So we're gonna move past that.
Sure. It'll probably come out for iOS and Android because those are kind of the big two, and we saw with Miitomo, Nintendo's only real app so far. That's what they're doing, iOS and Android, which is fair. But yeah, so they announced a mobile Fire Emblem game. I'm sure most people heard about it because it was the same day that they also announced the NX is coming in 2017. And funny story, I was actually talking to Shu when it happened. It was like 3 to 4 in the morning.
It was pretty early in the morning.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was like, all right. Like I was talking to him before, and I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep. And then I went to bed, and because I'm a loser, I like went on my phone and checked Twitter. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at like the NX got something. And then 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, you gotta check what happened on Twitter, like Fire Emblem Mobile. So that threw me for a loop.
No, definitely. Yeah, it was surprising and a little strange that it came out in the middle of I guess they don't, the people that make these announcements don't live where Blazer and I live because those were some wee hours.
Oh yeah. Right. So they had like an investors meeting or some financial whatever. I don't know because I really don't care.
Some hoopla.
Yeah, they had something in Japan basically, and because Japan's like 12 to 14 hours ahead of us, it was like the middle of the night for us. But anyway, yeah. So my initial reaction, I'll just get straight to it, was feelings of, hey, this could be fun, but I also wasn't very hopeful and don't expect a lot. And I'll get into that later. What about you, Shu?
I don't know. My initial reactions. Here's my thing. Is the first thing I thought of is that, well, I guess I have to actually start playing games on my phone because I'm not really a very big mobile gamer. And that kind of, I don't know. Like, I'm not immediately. I didn't have like a gut negative reaction to it by any means, but I am curious to see exactly what the play style is going to be. Because it's obviously not going to be nearly. It's not going to be able to be nearly as robust and in depth, I guess, as they.
But is that necessarily true though? Now of course I am the skeptic here. Let's not get confused. But I'm also trying to be fair. Let's think about Fire Emblem in terms of control schemes. But actually, even before that, let's take a step just to establish some facts in case anyone isn't aware. So they did say, quote, at the same time, we still aim to provide a fully engaging experience as a role-playing simulation game. So basically what that means is that with this Fire Emblem mobile game, they are trying to appeal to, again, quote, die-hard fans. They said that somewhere.
That's me and Blazer.
Yeah, sure.
They were definitely thinking of us too when they made that statement because.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know exactly about that. Who they want, or for me, I guess I would say, it depends on your definition of diehard fans. But in terms of probably the game's going to be like Awakening Fates and stuff that's popular. So I think what they mean is they're trying to appeal to these people who, are more interested in an actual game as opposed to, like a social app like Miitomo or maybe like a more casual, easy to get into game like Mario. So I think that's what they mean. Basically, they're saying it's more about targeting that niche group of um, Fire Emblem fans. It's niche, but it's like mainstream too.
And it's growing too.
Right.
What else are they gonna say? That they're gonna appeal to a very, very specific group of people? No, I mean they're gonna be trying to get as many people on this Fire Emblem bandwagon as they can. And I think
Right.
there's probably an aspect to that went into the decision to make a mobile game.
Yeah, yeah.
Fire
I mean,
Emblem.
they also said they're releasing Animal Crossing, and I think what they wanted was to say, all right, Animal Crossing is obviously like anyone can enjoy it, but
Yeah.
it's more casual. It's not as intense gameplay. And then you have Fire Emblem, which they quote said is not so much the width of the audience as the existence of diehard fans who have stuck to the series for a long time. So we selected, quote again, we selected two titles of different categories in IP to reach as many consumers as possible. So it's totally just about market reach on that. Which I guess is why they wanted to keep it as a role-playing simulation game, because in that sense, if they had changed up the gameplay or formula, it might not appeal to those people who played the actual games. Um, so there's that. Other than that, there's not a lot of information so far about the game. They said it is also well known by the catchphrase "tough to beat simulation."
Which I don't know anybody who has ever called Fire Emblem a hard to beat simulation. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, sure.
I don't even think of it as a simulation game. I mean, it definitely
No,
is, but for me, it's always been about turn-based strategy.
definitely. No, not even until recently with the last two games, I would even think of the word simulation when it
Mhm.
came to Fire Emblem. Not at all.
No, no. I guess, yeah. With the more recent games, it's definitely more about simulation, especially in terms of the amount of preparation work you're doing before chapters. Like, so for instance, I won't handle it too long, but I've been playing Fire Emblem 6, and for 5 chapters, you don't even get battle preps, and then you move on, and it's like, all right, you have battle preps now, but how much are you really doing? You're basically just equipping your dudes with equipment, and in that game, you can't even use items in the menu, so you're not even doing that much. It's really just inventory management, and then maybe changing the positions of characters on the map, which is totally different from the newer games where there's all sorts of upgrading your castle and skirmishes and barracks or bonding or whatever. There's just so much more to do that's outside of the the battle. So I guess in that regard, it has become more of a simulation game and also a role playing game and less of
Mm-hmm.
a turn based strategy game. But anyway, that's kind of a tangent. So that's the mobile game. That's basically all we know. It's coming fall 2016. It's going to be a quote role playing simulation game, and what I was saying earlier is in terms of control scheme. Think about say the DS game. Have you ever tried using the stylus to control the characters?
No,
Have you
I'd
not?
never.
Straight. Well, believe it or not, that is a feature in the game where you can actually use a stylus. So if we think about it in terms of that, Fire Emblem is actually a solid fit because the game is not real time. So there's not a need to press a lot of buttons at the same time as you would in say Smash or some other thing. You're basically just moving units. You can take your time. You can stop the game. Say mid turn while you're still moving your units or whatever. And it's kind of convenient then. And I think because of that, it's actually a solid fit for Fire Emblem or for mobile. as much as I hate to admit it. And this is actually why I was kind of anticipating that Fire Emblem would eventually get a mobile game. I just wasn't expecting it so soon, as this, because like we still haven't even seen a Mario game or a Kirby game, or there's Pokemon Go, but we haven't seen that really yet. So for me it was kind of surprising, like, hey, we've only released one mobile game and we're already talking about Fire Emblem for mobile. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
I do find it interesting that it was one of the first IPs that they're gonna bring to mobile because I don't know, like I mean, pretty much what you said. I mean, it's not by any means the most popular Nintendo franchise, but you do make a good point in that it fits a lot more than a lot of the other franchises in Nintendo's library. Because I mean, I would have been a lot more skeptical if they came out with saying, "Oh, there's an F-Zero game for mobile," or "Oh,
Yeah.
there's a Metroid game for mobile." I'm like, yeah, I don't know, but Fire Emblem, I can see that working to a degree.
Yeah, dude, an F-Zero game for mobile would have to be like, all right, you tap to go, and then you tilt your controller, your phone rather,
Yeah, fuck that.
left and right, and I'm just like, that would look so dumb, and like I mean, like if I were like doing that out in the public, and
No.
eventually just get kind of tiring and cumbersome.
You see, what that Nintendo doesn't think about sometimes is that Blaze or myself, we're cool guys. If they want us to play their games, they need to make games that will make us look cool playing them. So a mobile F-Zero game, out the question. So don't even try, Nintendo. I know you're listening.
Dude, I wish though.
Yeah.
Yeah, Metroid, that probably wouldn't work too well.
No, I don't think so.
I don't even have any ideas. I mean, it would just have to be dumbed down so much. But Animal Crossing, I would say Animal Crossing is another game that's simple enough. It's fitting. Fire Emblem, yeah.
I think that F-Zero, I mean, not F-Zero. Animal Crossing is probably the perfect choice. I'm glad that was one of the first things I went for because I mean, the type of people that are really into playing mobile games, I bet they would love Animal Crossing.
Oh yeah, no, they would totally eat that up. They just need to make sure they don't ruin it with in-app purchases and other things.
Whoa, we're getting into a little different conversation there, don't we?
Hey, I'm just saying. Like, the idea is definitely there, but it's very difficult to find that balance between making the game fun for people who don't want to pay money and making the game fun for people who, are willing to pay money or whatever. And I'm just scared because if you're just a little bit off with that balance, you can end up easily losing half your crowd.
I agree.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh my god, that was weird. No, my question. I mean, is there a question long? Because my question might be long.
No.
Okay, well, you should go first then.
I just said I don't remember what it was because you interrupted me.
You didn't remember what it? Oh, come on. Okay, anyway.
The joy of professional podcasting when two people are doing it over the internet.
Well, internet's tough.
I'm teasing. Go ahead.
My question was to you, Blazer. What? I mean, this is some mad speculation going on right here, but what do you think that they're going to do with Fire Emblem in this mobile game? How do you think it's gonna? What shape do you think it's gonna take?
So one thing is that we saw a logo for the new Fire Emblem game, and when we did, there was a symbol that I personally didn't really recognize. I also didn't analyze it. It did look a little bit. It felt very fitting for Fire Emblem. Like it kind of looked like a shield or something.
Yep.
I can look it up again, but it wasn't a symbol that I already knew. So that being said, I think this game could very well be a new entry with new characters, which would have the appeal of, hey, people who are playing this game for the first time, who are not already Fire Emblem fans, won't feel alienated by having to get new characters. Yeah, it's a very weird symbol. It's kind of it's gold. In a way, it looks like a shield, but it's also not. It's not like wholesome. Like there are holes in it that just kind of don't make sense. I guess you could say it's a crest or an emblem of sorts, but who knows what it is. But anyway, that's my speculation, is that it's a new game. There may be cameos. from other games, that's certainly possible. In terms of what it's like, that's such a hard thing to say, but I would say the easiest thing to do, and this actually ties in with another point that I was going to make and forgot about, would be to follow a formula for other RPGs or similar games that also got mobile ports. So the nice thing about Nintendo entering the mobile scene now is that they don't have to be one of the the new people going in and like, I don't really know how to do this, and I don't really know what works. They've got so much data to look at. They've got so many successful and failed games to look at. There are now a lot of formulas for games, and these formulas they work, right? They rely on IP because if all the games are kind of similar, then there's no reason to play multiple. Um, but I know, Shu, you said you don't play mobile games. I don't really either. I tried a few recently, but even then I only have like a handful of mobile games. There's basically a game called a gacha game. I don't know why it's called that. Maybe because they got your money.
You've been sitting on that one for a while.
Not quite, but that's probably actually what it is. I mean, I could certainly just Google it and find out. But basically, these games are games where you have a luck based system for getting like items or characters or something in a game where basically you need so many like gems, crystals, money, whatever, that you can get both in game and through purchasing. But of course, purchasing is like a billion times faster. And then you spend it getting random, again, equipment, weapons, characters. It really depends on the game. So there's a game called Tales of Link. It's currently out if anyone wants to try it, just to see what the formula is like. Basically, you have characters from the Tales of series. I think you've definitely played that, Shu.
Mm-hmm.
And you basically roll for characters by spending your crystals / money, or they're called stones, whatever. And then you have a chance of getting like different levels, right? So you can get level 3, 4, 5, 6. The more you spend, like the better chances, whatever. So I think this would be a great fit for our Fire Emblem because let's say you could borrow characters from all the different games, and you could say, hey, you want this super cool character. They're like a level 5. They've got like these great stats. You just gotta roll and get them, right? And then you after you get a character, you like form a party of 13 characters or whatever, and then you go on a map and you go fight baddies, right? And they wouldn't even have to do much of a story. I figure if there is a story, it's going to be very bland. They'll probably have an avatar again, just because that appeals to people making their own character. And just like this, pretty straightforward, they would make money. They could even expand it to weapons if they wanted, by having a slightly different system, but maybe also money-based or something where you have to purchase weapons, or get them via it's basically a slot machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think because this is such a common monetization model for video games, I read that off Wikipedia just now. I think it can definitely happen. You can just Google complete gacha, and yeah, that basically explains it. Again, I don't really know why it's called that, but probably because they got your hand on your wallet.
That was a great joke.
All right, but yeah, that's it. That's my theory because it would make the most sense. It would be very simple, and it would almost definitely work.
Well, you should mail that into Nintendo. See if they throw you a job.
Right? Now, how would you feel about that, by the way?
How did you say? How would I feel about
Yes.
that?
How would you feel? I'm Dr. Feel. How would you feel about it?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess I try not to be too picky as far as like being a video game fan. I mean, I definitely have opinions and strong opinions on different things in the industry, but for the most part, I try to keep a very open mind because we might have talked about this on our podcast before, but the problem with a lot of video game fans is that they don't know what they want, especially longtime fans of a particular franchise, that when something new comes out and it's it's different in a way from the previous installments, I mean, they're gonna butcher the developer for what they would call abandoning their original fan base, but at the same time, you can't expect this developer to make the same freaking game every installment and still make money on it.
Right.
And how that ties into my approach with this Fire Emblem game is that I've seen a lot of negative reaction to the announcement that there's going to be a mobile Fire Emblem game. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
as a frequenter of the Fire Emblem Reddit, is that what you're gonna say?
I'm not a frequenter of the Fire Emblem subreddit. I'll tell you that much. I'm not. But honestly, I see more of that on Twitter.
Really?
To be frank, I'm not gonna out anybody, but you know.
I mean, I might have said a mean thing or two, but I'm definitely getting the game, and I'm definitely giving it a chance. So.
Oh yeah, and I mean,
I'm just a skeptic.
Yeah, that's really what it has to come down to, is that you got to keep an open mind with these type of things. Like, it might not be exactly what I think it's gonna be, and I might not like it as much as the other games in the series, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have value in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing I did say recently in the Fire Emblem subreddit, actually, man, look at me, only going back to what I said earlier, but dude, totally forgot what I was gonna say. Oh man, awkward. Yeah, well,
all right, we'll just have an awkward silence for like 10 seconds while you remember.
Okay, well, whatever. But anyway, I mean, I think. Oh no, I remember what I was gonna say. It's that before, like, between when Radiant Dawn came out and when Fire Emblem Awakening was announced, there was pretty much nothing for the Fire Emblem community to get excited about. Yeah, there were two games in between them. They're the two Shadow Dragon
New Mystery.
But yeah, and New Mystery. But pretty much anybody that was like deep in the community at that point or had been there for a while probably already played those old games on emulation.
Or else they just realized that the games were kind of bad.
Yeah, and they were bad on top of it. But I mean,
yeah.
There was nothing to get excited about because they were remakes of games that were really, really old.
That's true.
And they weren't that good. And so Radiant Dawn was released in 2007, and Awakening was announced in 2011. That's 4 years that the community had, like, nothing to care about. Nothing.
What are you talking about, dude? I single-handedly sustained the community with hacking.
Yeah. You really had your
I'm joking. Don't quote me on that, guys. I'm sure some jerk will be like, "Yeah, Blaze is so arrogant. He said he sustained the community." Like, no, take a joke. But
they say that anyway.
In all seriousness, hacking did help with discussion and spreading and all that. But yeah, that's true. We really didn't have anything to be.
If you are interested in hacking, check out our old Fire Emblem podcast episode on hacking. They made that like 3 years ago or something. But probably still good.
Don't check that out because the audio is probably bad and we were probably.
No. Hey, come on, man. But yeah. I'm just saying is that there was a time where it was basically a drought for the Fire Emblem community, and now, I mean, there are mixed feelings on the last two games and what the new fans are, kind of, I guess. But I don't know. I think you take the good with the bad, and I'm really glad that the series didn't just die, which I think some people thought was gonna happen after New Mystery came out. And
some people wish it did die, but not saying names. Not saying names. Not me.
Okay, those people are ridiculous because it's still a decent franchise. You know what I mean? Whether or not, I mean, I don't know. I think people are just.
It depends on if you can see value and also how, I guess, invested you are in terms because I don't think they mean it as necessarily hate for the new fans so much as it is just being better. For me, I'm gonna kind of intervene here. Is that okay?
Yeah, go right ahead.
I'm gonna say in what you said earlier that I do look at games on their own to start with in terms of giving them a chance and seeing what merits they have, and seeing what value they have. But I don't think it's also fair to say, hey, you can't compare to the older games at all, because you can also see, all right, what did this game do well? What did it do poorly? And all right, it's in the same series. What's the difference between what this game did well and poorly versus the older games? What could they have kept? That a lot of times game companies, especially Nintendo, will do great things and then they will backstep on it. They will get rid of it. they will just fail to do it again. And there's so many examples of this. Fire Emblem is definitely one where look at you had FE4 and FE5 where they had skill systems, right? Then you had FE6 through FE7. They did not have almost any skills. All you had were very rare ones like lock picking and lethality. But those even have like a proper skill system, right? Those are just kind of embedded into the game. And then you had FE8. All right, it had a skill system, but how notable was it compared to other games? Not very at all. And I can come up with so many more examples. You could say that the approach to writing and character development completely changed.
Oh yeah, we
From
had a podcast on that too.
Did we? Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, point being is that a lot of times they will step back for better or worse, and they will do things well, and they'll fail to do well again. And I'm saying, all right, why can't we take the new good and combine it with the old good? Because I just want to play good games in the end, right? If you want to put in some new good and combine it with the old good, that's fine as long as they're still good, right? Being different isn't a flaw. I just want something good.
Yeah. So. No, exactly, and I think a lot of people have a hard time getting past that, and I think that what people want. I mean, games are awesome in that they give people like very specific feelings when they play a game that they really like, and I think people that look for that feeling again and again and again, and sometimes they're just not going to find the exact same feeling that they had play. Like,
right.
I got a certain feeling playing like Halo 3 when it first came out and playing with friends and stuff like that. It was a very specific feeling that I'm never going to get back again. Even if I put Halo 3 in my Xbox and start trying to play it again, it's not going to feel the same because I'm not back there, It's not that period of time. It's totally different. And yeah, I don't know. I think some people don't quite understand that. And when they don't get those types of feelings when they play new games in their favorite franchises, they get upset. And I think that's it's a little unfair to the people that put so much effort into making these games. Because I mean, oftentimes they're very good games in their own rights. They're just having to live up to these unrealistic expectations by the community.
That's true.
Which is why I am going to keep an infinitely open mind when it comes to this new Fire Emblem game. That's not to mean that if it is bad, I'm not gonna rip it a new one, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yep, I'm mostly interested in how they're going to approach the story and the relationship system, for lack of a better word. Because now there's such a focus on bonding with characters and all that, and I think it could be very interesting or it could end up very twisted. There's just so many possibilities with a mobile game. Again, they could bring in characters from old games, or they could have a completely new cast of characters. And then I'm thinking in terms of levels. If the levels are very isolated, which oftentimes they are, because they could have, say, special maps that are for events, or special maps that are limited time, or then they'll have story maps, side story maps. If all of these are very isolated, then it could limit the story, because when you don't have a linear story, it becomes a lot more difficult to connect it in a deep and valuable way. And saying the word deep in itself isn't really deep because it's not really saying anything, I know, but it's just how it is. When you have a linear story, you have more control over all the different factors, and for me, it makes it easier to control what happens in the story. So if they have these isolated maps, it could be every map also has a kind of isolated story that happens different, and it maybe feel like every chapter is more episodic and not a continuation of the necessarily the last chapter, which is often very different because there were many maps in older Fire Emblem games where the maps happened right after each other. And there was, in terms of plot, there was no downtime to go on, side quest or take a detour or help some random village, right? And that's very different kind of from also the the newer games where you can often go into different dimensions or go into side quests at any time with that non-linear story and approach to levels. Comments?
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense, and I would honestly kind of dig that because I just find that formula changes in Fire Emblem are very interesting. So, yeah, I would like that. It kind of reminds me of that old Fire Emblem um, game. I guess I don't could not tell you what it was for. I want to say it was for like the Nintendo's short-lived disc system thing. It was BS Fire Emblem, and
Oh
BS
yeah,
stands for some.
satellite something. Yeah,
Yeah, BS stands for some Japanese stuff. I don't know, but it
I
was
think most people just
basically.
call it a Cania Saga now. But yeah.
Oh yeah. Um, but it basically was a game that was like it consisted of different like challenge maps essentially. It was just
Hmm.
like I think there was one where you had to work as like a team of Pegasus Knights, and you had to fight an army that was primarily made up of archers. I want to say that was the case. I never actually played that,
This may or may
but
not be true. I certainly don't know it to be true.
I mean, this is all based on like like a short paragraph I read on an obscure Fire Emblem site probably like 8 years ago.
I do see something
So,
here, but you do have some non-Pegasus Knights,
oh yeah,
from what I'm seeing. So
sure. Well, I mean,
anyway,
whatever.
I get the gist of what you're saying,
And I think a lot of mobile games kind of go in that direction,
though. Right.
like
That's it.
kind of like level by
I
level thing.
think I think you'll be fine. I'm just saying for I guess because everyone has different things that they like in a game that they value in a game. So even if two games are both good in their own way, I might value one a lot and not another, and that just comes to personal preference and taste, right? My point being that if you look for story in a Fire Emblem game, then Fire Emblem Mobile, there's a good chance, like we'll see that it might not have a story that is enticing and a draw-in or a selling factor. If only because of the platform it's on. Mobile games usually don't have super crazy stories. In terms of gameplay design, like I just explained, they kind of aren't suited to it as well. They're also in short bursts, so a lot of people don't want to sit through cutscenes. They want to spend more time playing or doing things. So if that's a draw for you as a Fire Emblem, which for me personally it is, I like the older stories a lot. Then that may or may not be for you. It's just something to consider, and maybe it is for a lot of people because that open system is very convenient. It's handheld, it's portable. Even more so than the 3DS, I would argue, because I carry my phone with me everywhere, and I do not carry my 3DS with me everywhere.
Right.
Um, so there are certainly a lot of conveniences and other things. And I'm sure it'll probably be interactive because mobile games that aren't interactive tend to not have a very long lifespan or gain as much traction or attention.
No.
So I could see something like a My Castle front system or something like that being adapted to mobile, which would certainly be interesting. Again, for me it all comes down to execution. I love video games in general, so I'll eat up almost anything. Um, one thing I'll say since while I'm ranting is that it's very interesting as series develop because you oftentimes get a series that can change a lot and it's still good, but the old form also had its own appeal. And you kind of get a split off where, a series has maybe, two different types of games and people like both, but you have to kind of choose one direction or else you have to create a spin-off series or something, which just can become very costly and expensive, and it just become too much for the developers. They can only make so many games, right? So I'm sure you could, think of a game like that. I'm thinking of Metroid right now. Metroid 2D and Metroid 3D, right? Two very, very, very different games. They're
Yep.
both Metroid though.
You could probably say the same thing about Legend of Zelda. That there were 2D and 3D. I think it's probably less so, but
Yeah, yeah.
people there.
The design is similar. Overall, and the gameplay is very similar. But you're right.
Yeah, it's
They've
just kind
managed to
of
keep that somehow. They had A Link Between
yeah.
Worlds, and they have 3D games. They have the remakes and the remasters, and
Mhm.
the new Legend of Zelda is also 3D. But of course, that's a series that gets games almost every year. So I think with Fire Emblem, for instance, they did this weird thing with Birthright and Conquest, where they kind of tried to appeal a little bit to both, older fans and newer ones. But I don't think it's something they can continue, where they can have both the older style Fire Emblem games and the newer ones and appeal to both. I think they're ultimately going to choose one, and as a business, they're going to choose the one that more people like, that makes more money. And that goes for other series, Paper Mario. I don't know why I can't think of any more right now, but there are so many different series that will just completely split off with games that are there. They clearly have the same. They're clearly part of the same series, but they just have very different appeals and feels. That rhyme, dude.
Yeah, definitely did.
You know what I don't like about this podcast?
What?
There are no jokes.
Well, we're not a comedy podcast. We're like,
I mean, that's true, but
this is Fire Emblem.
I hold myself to a certain standard of providing at least a couple laughs per podcast if possible.
Sure. I think people are just laughing at us the entire time.
For all the wrong reasons, though.
Yeah, well, no, it's the Fire Emblem half hour with Fire Emblem gurus, Blazer and Shu,
How long have you been a Fire Emblem fan?
Have I? Oh, man, probably easily. Probably a little over 10 years. Maybe 11 or 12.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right for me. I think I picked up FE7. Let's see, I can calculate. I always question myself because I can't remember. Pretty sure it's 2004, though. So, when did it come out? 2003?
I want to say yes, but...
okay, so if I was in 4th grade when I played Fire Emblem, and I was born... Alright, so I was 10 plus 10... Yeah, so it was either 2003 or 2000, like late 2003 or 2004, early 2004 probably, that I was playing Fire Emblem. So I came at the very beginning because I'm a hipster. I played Fire Emblem for longer than all you guys, so therefore I'm cooler.
You're OG. You're OG.
Nah, I'm just joking. I'm just old. Honestly, there are a lot of people who've played many of the games way more times than I have, because I'm just not one to replay games a lot. It's just not my thing. I just get bored super easily. Like, even my favorite games, I will only play 2 or 3 times, and then I'm like, I'm done. I don't have motivation to play. So apparently, the original Fire Emblem 7 came out November 3rd, 2003. So it was probably a few months after that I got it.
Sure.
Which is fair. You said shut up?
No, I said sure.
Oh, okay. That's like, dude, like, don't be rude. Like, all right.
I don't know. Who cares, dude?
You questioning me?
I don't buy it.
Nah, I remember that because I got my Game Boy Advance stolen in 4th grade because I was playing Fire Emblem in class. So.
Oh, yeah.
Those are good old days, dude.
It was a good
Like
game.
you said, I'm never going to get to relive that feeling in that moment, that awe.
Yeah, because you've already played it. I mean, you might get a similar feeling with a totally different game that you never thought you would like as much, but it's I mean, that specific feeling you're never going to get back. Right. And it's a shame, but I mean...
It is what it is, and I just accept it, and I deal with it, and I just try and see the good in things. But, sometimes the bad things stick out. It's kind of like a rose with thorns, You're like, that's a pretty rose, but then you touch it and it hurts, and you're like, I'm trying to look at the rose, but it just hurts so badly.
Yeah.
That's all I got, Sue. What about you?
Yeah, I think we stretched this podcast out a good length for how much information we have on it.
Basically nothing. Basically told us it's a simulation game, which was a what's the word? Revelation in its own.
Yeah. And then we made fun of that, essentially threw it out, and then just talked about what we want to talk about the entire time.
I mean, isn't that basically what we always do?
Oh, yeah, whatever, man.
I mean, we were supposed to do a podcast on Face, but that would require you to get past chapter 12. So.
Oh, dude, low blow. I'm a busy guy, okay?
This is literally all she ever says. Yeah, I'm a busy guy, dude.
Well, it's still true.
It's still true. I got nothing.
No,
You're just full of it.
We need to get out of here before we embarrass ourselves even more.
All right, guys, it was a fun podcast. Let us know what you think about Fire Emblem Mobile in the comments. Answer Shu's question at the beginning that I don't remember, but he called you guys out for something, so that's a thing.
Yeah, see, I don't even remember. No.
Right?
No, wait. No, I still don't remember. Anyway, go to the tape, rewind this podcast.
I think you said it was something about like playing Fire Emblem more than everyone else.
Oh. No, I still don't get it. I don't remember.
You don't remember? All right,
No,
don't worry. Just
but,
listen to it when it goes live.
Yeah. You should definitely answer that question. Follow the Twitter that the Twitter account that Blazer runs.
Dude, we're going big. They got like 2,200 followers. I'm like so happy. Thank you for everyone who follows.
Yep.
She occasionally takes over and makes jokes like once every 2 months.
It's like a good cop bad cop thing where the bad cop only shows up on weekends. But yeah, it's.
Dude, I don't want to be the good cop. That's so boring.
Well, you're the one who brings them all the great Fire Emblem information, pretty much around the clock. I swear to God, like here, let me tell you. I'm talking to you, the listener, right now. Okay, it's if you want to keep up to date on Fire Emblem, what you want to do is you want to download the Twitter app, log into your Twitter, find the Fire Emblem Buzz Twitter account. It's got a little picture of Roy up there that I made.
Thank God it's Roy, not Leaf.
Yeah, okay, get over it.
Dude, I love Roy.
Follow the Twitter account. And then set the go into the settings and set it to have his tweet sent to your phone, so you will know about this Fire Emblem information the minute it happens, essentially. Blazer finds this stuff out very quickly, and he will let you know, and you will be a better person for it. Trust me, I know.
Yep. I might even start respecting you as a Fire Emblem fan if you do that, so...
Oh, hey, that goes a long way. Blazer doesn't respect anybody.
God, damn straight, I don't. Alright, I'm gonna leave it at that. It was a fun time, though. We'll see you guys not next week.
Yeah, as soon as there's something to talk about, we'll talk about it.
It's gonna take a lot longer for Shu than next.
Yeah, well,
we'll see you next time, whenever that is.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Peace.